Major funding for these broadcasts has been provided by grants from New York Community Bank, Capital One Bank, Eastern Consolidated, M&T Bank, Sterling National Bank, Meridian Capital Group, the Witkoff Organization, Customers Bank, Ariel Property Advisors, Chase Commercial Term Lending, Chase Mortgage Lending, Perfect Building Maintenance, Genova Burns. Additional funding has been provided by AKA Hotels, Corman Communities, AmTrust Title Insurance Company, AVR Realty Company, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Bank Leumi USA, Briarwood Organization, CBRE, Citizens Bank, Cohen Equities, Colliers International NYC, Collins Building Services, Connect One Bank, CPEX Real Estate Services, Dime Community Bank, Douglaston Development, Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handro Properties, Handler Real Estate Organization, HAP Investments, Hodges Ward Elliott Inc., Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Center at Syracuse University, Kilroy Architectural Windows, Madison Realty Capital, Matone Group, Mercantile Bank, New Banks, Newmark Grubb Knight Frank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Polsonelli, Rosewood Realty Services, SJP Properties, Stonehenge Partners, TD Bank, Terra CRG, the Knackle Group at Cushman & Wakefield, Maring Goff Family Foundation, the Moynihan Group, and these friends.
It's the office market. It's in 5 boroughs. Basically, it's really in 4. And, you know, there's lots of things going on. It's a positive market. Last month, things really went well. So today, I've assembled this group of business leaders to provide their insight on what's happening in the office market in New York City. My guests include Dan Rashin, who is the co-CEO and president of the Rockfeller Group, Eric Gural, who is a principal at Newmark Holdings, Brian Waterman, who is the vice chairman of Newmark Grubb Knight Frank. And last but definitely not least, maybe we'll call him the dean of the office market, Arthur Moranti, who is the principal and tri-state president for Avison Young. So since I've called you the dean of the market, how do you see the office market in 2017? I mean, 16 was a little slow, people said, but how do you see the outlook for 2017?
I think the last 6 months were sluggish. I think there was a lot of extra caution because of our presidential election. Before that came Brexit. People were kind of nervous. And I think right now I see tremendous momentum building. I think we're on fire. And I kind of observed that in the first 2 or 3 weeks. Frankly, and then the stats came out that we did 4+ million square feet. But frankly, I think it's fair to think that some of that was at least pent-up demand, right? But I see a lot of tenants, large and small, back to strategic discussions about expansion. I think there's more confidence that they're going to be able to deliver the revenues for the next few years, with the quote-unquote Trump factor, deregulation, and lower taxes. And frankly, I think we're going to see the financial services industry grow in New York City this year for the first time in maybe 10 or 12 years.
You know, the Rockfeller Group has been around for many years, and you have 2 great properties on the Avenue of the Americas. And people had this perception over there that the Avenue of the Americas in Midtown wasn't the place to be. But things have changed. Talk about some of the changes.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's always been a great location. transportation, easy to get around, lots of amenities. But in a lot of cases, the buildings were really old and tired. And what you've seen up and down 6th Avenue, I think I counted the other day, like 10 or 12 buildings have invested substantially in upgrading their buildings. And so you're seeing, as a result of that, I think, a lot of tenants who are giving another look to 6th Avenue. We're seeing it in our 2 buildings, a lot in the smaller tenants at 1221, the larger tenants at 1271. As Arthur said, I would echo, at the beginning of the year, our activity level picked up quite a bit.
I think part of that was the fact that Major League Baseball, made a decision to come over there, to come into the market. Plus, the law firms have continued to be there in the market over there.
Yep. I mean, Major League Baseball was great. I mean, you guys all know, but a lot of people don't, is that Major League Baseball is a very large tech company. In addition to being the commissioner's office and apple pie and mom. But we're also seeing law firm interest, and we're in lease negotiations with a large financial services firm at 1271 as well. So,
if you look at the leasing velocity of New York in January, the majority of that velocity was on the west side. So between 4 Times Square, 1211 Avenue of the Americas, 1271 Avenue of the Americas, that was a lot of the leasing that occurred. So a lot of the vacancy that's coming off the market has come off the market on the west side, which we were worried about. And so some of the key indicators that I think that we look at is reduction of the west side vacancy, and that's starting to happen. That's a positive sign. And also getting a tech company like MLB to go to a 1271 is a positive sign for those type of buildings that
they left Midtown South.
They left, right.
But I believe part of the problem is they had space constraint because they are a technology company. They may have wanted to be there, but they couldn't get the floors or what they needed. But how do you see your market? Okay, because you have a lot of B and B plus buildings. How do you see the tendency and what's going on?
It's still been strong. Interesting enough, the space we get the most rent for now is on Lafayette Street, which used to be the place we used to get the lease rent when I started about 25 years ago. A couple things, data points that I have that you don't is of the couple thousand tenants that I have, the delinquency rate in rent is at its lowest levels ever. So people are able to pay their bills, which is really good. And we track through our security systems, you can track the number of people working in your buildings, and I haven't seen that go down at all. So I think in those terms, I think it's really good. I think one thing for us to think about is if we think of leases generally in 10-year terms, if you're going back now, you're in 2006 when our market was really hot also. So people are coming off those 2006 rent levels, and then their ability to pay the rent level today is probably similar because those rents are similar.
Right.
As we get in a couple of years from now, and people coming off, say, a 2009, lease term and rent, what's their ability to pay the 2019 rents, I think is something that we're a little worried about.
Here's the question. We were briefly discussing this in the green room before. Concessions, opportunities, is it become a better tenant market as opposed to a landlord's market? Have you been giving more concession? What's really I have 2 owners over here, and I have two brokers on the side.
Oh no, concessions are way down.
No,
I would agree. We are seeing concessions go up, a little more free rent, a little more tenant improvement dollars going to tenants. It hasn't gotten out of hand, but the direction over the last year has been definitely going up.
If you look at renewal rates 3 years ago, 70% of the transactions done were new deals, 30% were renewals. Last year, almost 40% were renewals. I think in order to get a lot of tenants to move today, getting the capital out there and owners putting that capital out, they consider money very, very cheap, and they're paying tenants to move. So that's full concessions, built to suits, and a lot of free rent.
I was just going to say, I couldn't agree more, but I think it's almost like the market research people tell us. They use that word equilibrium. We're telling a lot of our landlords in our agencies they shouldn't lose tenants. If you get a tenant, right, they need an extra $10, an extra $15 in TI, reach for them, lock them up. Because even though I said the market is red hot, there's a balance. And there's a nice, healthy tension on both sides here.
What about renewals? Are you seeing concessions achieving the level of new deals or getting close?
I don't want any of my landlords to lose a tenant.
Right. So
yes.
we're starting to see that.
You know, we know the law firms have reduced their sizes significantly. We know that partner offices in professional firms, and you know, every time I go into a building today, could be in your type of building, everybody is now open space. There's no more drop ceilings. There's a lot of different type of uses. How do you see that?
We're building out a rather large law firm right now, and we are seeing still the perimeter offices. They are a lot smaller. The associate offices tend to be doubling up, at least for the junior associates. I do think you are seeing a little more of the gathering type spaces. Whether it's to be a little social or whether it's to have meetings that makes up for some of the loss,
right,
at least from a landlord side, of having smaller offices. So I think the amenity spaces in those types of firms are getting larger while the workspaces are getting smaller.
So if you look at the law firms that have relocated, the 14 big law firm deals over 100,000 feet, almost all of them were space reduction. And so we are definitely seeing space reductions. People are becoming more efficient, but I don't disagree with you. Collaborative work environment is very, very important. Newmark just went through this exercise ourselves where we reduced occupancy per square foot, but we increased headcount in the same amount of space. So we almost had a 30% reduction on our square foot per person, but increased the overall headcount in our own space. So
let me direct a couple of questions to Eric right now. You said last year you and your partners made an investment in 40 Exchange.
That's right.
That's downtown. You also made an investment in Long Island City and in Brooklyn.
That's right.
Why? How do you decide on these opportunities in the office market?
You know, 40 Exchange, we thought the pricing was right in terms of what we'd be able to do and how we reposition that building. It's a building that needed a lot of work, but it still put us in a position where we could rent at a market level that we thought was really achievable. And then as far as the boroughs are a little different. Williamsburg, we thought that would be sort of a hot office market and really supply-constrained place. And I'm seeing that now because I've gone to market now and I have interest in basically all the space I have in the building, which is great. And then Long Island City is sort of the same kind of thing as a value play in an area that's going to get reimagined. You know, so what you're saying is right about the age of the buildings. That so much of what we're doing in Manhattan is try to sort of repurpose things that were designed and built 100 years ago into the needs of today, and which is what you're talking about, how people use office space. Right. So Long Island City doesn't have that problem. Long Island City is going to get a chance to reinvent itself, going to get a chance to rebuild itself, and be done in a way that's going to make sense for the way people want to live and work today. So I think that was the reason we thought about it.
How do you look at the co-working? Because, you know, WeWork is the 850-pound gorilla, but, you know, there's this Indigenous, there's Commons, or other companies over there who are different. How do you look at that as a tenant?
We haven't leased to any of those tenants at this point. You know, my feeling about WeWork and those is we got to see how they perform when the market goes down. It's those things are easy when the markets are going up, and you'll find out who's really strong and can last when the markets turn and they're paying a rent. You know, that their base rent to the landlord is up here. What are they getting on the other side? But as a phenomenon, it's similar to what we were just saying about, you know, law firm space. I mean, it's all about collaboration and bringing people together. And
there's so much energy in those spaces, and the diversification of the types of tenancy.
You're too old. You're not allowed to go into that space.
It is. You can't help but be collaborative when you go in there. The environment is just an incredible environment, and there is a counter argument to that where, you know, they look at all these small tenants as a diversification of risk, right? So they have a lot of different payees that are paying the bill per location, and if you go in there, it's pretty unique. It's not the old type of workplace.
Not the old Regis.
It's not the old Regis. Right. It's different. It's really different. We were in one last week. It's a pretty incredible space. And Arthur, I know you've toured them and looked at them. Eric, same thing. But
Arthur?
I think it's different this time around. And I think that the trend or phenomena, if you will, is probably here to stay. No question there'll be winners and losers.
Yep.
In the space.
I mean, I believe the Yard just closed one of their offices. You know, as they would say, the winners and losers, there's going to be a sifting of that.
But I understand that WeWork has an enormous revenue stream and cash flow from its technology platform.
Yeah, they're
And
also
it's
doing
not
something
just
called
the
they're also
space.
doing something called the enterprise concept, that they're going out to companies, to Microsoft and other places, and say, have regional offices with us.
Right.
So, you know, where you're working out there, some of the Silicon Valley banks are opening up within the in the extreme over there.
You know, it'll be interesting. So I did it years ago, before WeWork was in existence with a similar space, and I thought the idea was that they would incubate tenants for me inside the building. That if I had a full co-working space, once somebody needed to add a couple people, the co-working space wouldn't have the space, and they'd come to me. And it didn't really happen. But now, for the first time, I'm seeing some tenants, especially in the boroughs, where the brokers tell me, timing is flexible because we're coming out of a WeWork. That's the first time I'm seeing it. So it'd be a great study for them to study how many people went into their space, right, built whatever they were going to build, and then what they ended up doing for our market. Are they really incubating, or would really have more space users because of the co-working and not? Would be a great study.
See, it makes me nervous when I hear that WeWorks is starting to buy buildings. I think that's a little bit of a stretch, and successful companies usually get in trouble when they move into areas that is really not their skill set. But we'll see. They've done a great job, so who am I to, criticize?
I think Lower Manhattan got hurt when Fox decided to stay in Midtown. Do you see what's happening in Lower Manhattan today?
RBC just decided to do a renewal. They went into the market, they looked at the yards, they looked at Midtown. They decided to stay at Brookfield.
Right, that's very fresh. That's a day or two. Or
Right, and the numbers are kind of interesting.
Right.
They're in the low 50s, which
but
you have to look at the whole deal. You can't just look at the sticker price, right? And we know that.
But it looks like Spotify is going to go to 4 World Trade Center. You have Attorney General just signed a lease for 400,000 feet. I think this time around, a lot of tenants are going down there by choice, not by necessity. And so the type of tenant that you're seeing down there, the Media Math, the Spotifys, those type of tenants, very creative tenants. The push that Condé Nast went down there, people are justifying going down there. And the rent's the right rent for quality buildings. So it's pretty interesting what's going on there.
And you said something
And the transportation.
And you said something before that, Eric's neighborhoods, people don't want to leave. The only reason that they're leaving is because they can't.
They don't have
find a floor
enough
plate
space.
big
Correct.
enough.
Now, what's happening? When we talk about the boroughs, certain people believe, and I believe Brooklyn is becoming very hot because of all the population, the millennium situation, and the opportunities over there. What about Queens office market and the Bronx? Because literally Staten Island is space constrained due to the transportation over there. How do you see those markets?
Well, again, we're bullish on Long Island City. I think that part has the transportation, but again, it's going to have this renewed feeling of doing something new.
But what about the other sections? Flushing has become a huge population.
But don't you think all the people who was going to be moved out of Long Island City, all the tenants that were in the buildings, which I offered an opportunity for them to stay, and they didn't want to because they want to continue to pay cheaper rents. They're just going to then change those neighborhoods and just move further away. We bought a building in Bushwick, we saw the same exact thing. This push towards that area, basically because the transportation, the L basically goes that way, and you saw the same thing there. So all of this change is not just change in Long Island City. It's going to be changed all throughout Queens.
Right, and you're seeing, like, even your fashion tenants that were on the side streets, they're starting to look at Long Island City. So you're seeing a migration of those tenants moving to Long Island City, the Long Island City tenants moving to Flushing or alternative locations outside that. Factory District was, and you bought a couple of buildings in the Factory District, very, very hot in Long Island City. It saw a reduction of 2 or 3 points on the vacancy rate in the past quarter.
What about the suburban market? You have certain suburban properties.
We've got some. We've done some build-to-suit type things, medical office out in New Jersey, but we haven't done any speculative office development. We are looking seriously at a couple of opportunities that are in the suburbs, but very associated, as in very close to transportation hubs. So if you can get a mini urban environment in some of these towns that are along the train lines, we're interested in that.
Right. I believe, the Gold Coast still continues to do well. Anything in the Jersey City is strong. It's still a major competitor. And part of what happened in Jersey City and the Gold Coast is these Grow Green and other incentives in New Jersey really created reasons for companies to go there on that.
Well, you just see Tory Burch just announced they're going to move, 80, 90,000 feet out to 499 Washington. They're going to take it out of the city. They were already in the city. They were looking at Long Island City. And they made a decision. Do I go to Long Island City or do I go to New Jersey and get the incentives? They committed to New Jersey. We saw Colmar did that about a year and a half ago, the same thing.
Pearson did too.
Yep.
They took part of their space over here. One area which I think is, I've seen it because when I go down to 1010 Winds and CBS to record, the Hudson Square neighborhood has gone crazy. It's really done well. On
fire. I mean, the Hudson Square, as Hines and Norges have gotten into that marketplace, the rent profile has been raised there. We're doing something for Stellar Management at 1 Soho Square where, we have... AKA Spring Street. Yes, yes. But we'll call it 1 Soho Square. The home of Warby Parker. So, I mean, we have over 200,000 feet of leases out in that building at very, very strong rents. You look at the Hudson Square buildings, Eric has a building there, 200 Varick, as well as another storage building. But the rents there, where they used to be 65, 70, are now 65 to 95, 65 to 100. They're pushing the rents there. It's crazy. Right, you see that too. What are we seeing today besides the Hudson Yards and Brookfield? Is Joe breaking ground on his property? I noticed that I read in the rags last week that Related and Spitzer are building, but that may be a mixed-use property. It is mixed use. There's only a couple of 100,000 of office. Joe has got, courtesy of the MTA, he's got about half of his foundation built. And the other half he's going to finish together with the MTA. But when you think about it, there's like 3 anchor tenant opportunities left in the yards right now. One at 3 Hudson Boulevard with Joe. Mm-hmm. Another building at Manhattan West. And the other building, Manhattan West, is to be built, or is it? Is to be built. And Tishman Spire. Right. So, and that's probably to satisfy a market that I would say conservatively is maybe 5 or 6 potential anchor tenants in the market today. Well, BlackRock is going to commit. BlackRock's, yeah. Committed. Right. Almost done. Almost done. But, I mean, Tishman chased that and lost out on that opportunity, but they're going to go to the Related site. So, I mean, there's not a lot left. There's not a lot left, which is really interesting. Mm. Are you surprised how successful the Hudson Yards and the Far West Side has done? I'm surprised, but I'm not as surprised as you are, since I've been coming on this show for 3 years, and you dissed it every time we had the conversation. But I'm surprised that I may have dissed it, but I think part of it was, since I'm a pessimist at heart, but the way Related did it was very smart. They were smart construction. They didn't build spec. The same way that Joe's not going to build spec and Tishman's not building spec. But in hindsight, I think the smartest thing was for the government to design a diverse neighborhood and actually make the investment. Extending the High Line, the 7 train, the parks, both the River Park and the Hudson Boulevard Park. That's, to see that rewarded is unbelievable. So now I'm going to really get to a topic which, really is something that 2017, Midtown rezoning. Okay, right now we have that 1.7 million square foot, $3.5 billion development, at 1 Vanderbilt. Okay? Spectacular development. Spectacular, great for Grand Central. Yep. It's going to be good for the MTA and everything else. It's also going to be good for your properties on 6th Avenue, close by over there. How do you see the city getting involved? Do you think there's going to be a lot of buildings changed that are going to be knocked down like the old buildings over there? How do you? Well, you've been around. I do. You've been around long enough. I do, and I see the east side, for example, the east end of 42nd Street. Pfizer is going to sell its headquarters buildings, and
And,
I think you're right on. I believe that when
and therein,
Pfizer,
and therein is a development site that's even bigger than one Vanderbilt.
right. When Pfizer sells those 2 sites over there, and then you're going to have this huge situation right near Grand Central.
Right.
Great opportunities right in Midtown. So that's probably the next.
And the city's going to help incentivize, or some creative developer is going to figure out a way to make it a retail anchor at the other end of 42nd Street. And I don't have the imagination to figure what will be in the base of whatever tower is built on that site, but it'll be exciting, and you'll drag the traffic to the other end.
Look, 3rd Avenue is always the second-rate area, okay? And I think this is going to help 3rd Avenue. I'm in a building that's owned by Durst, and I believe all the leases come due in 19. I think Douglas has made that thought also, hoping that the world will change and the mixed use over there. Aren't you involved with other neighborhoods in your community for new developments?
Unfortunately not.
Okay.
Right now we're pretty much in a couple block area on 6th, and we do own the ground under the Barclays building, but that's in a ground lease position.
No, I thought in the 6th Avenue neighborhood that you have another opportunity to possibly build.
No, just the 2 buildings we own.
Do you think you would do anything to knock down any of your buildings if there's Midtown zoning changes?
No, that's not what we're thinking about doing. But I do want to go back to what we said before. It's all about people want something that's brand new and imagined for today. And that's what you're seeing people do. That's why Hudson Yards is popular. You see people want Vanderbilt. They want something for imagined today. The idea that we could repurpose these 100-year-old buildings into what they're supposed to be today. We all have to get comfortable with the fact that we're not going to be that good at it. And we have to be comfortable with the fact that the city has to get comfortable with the fact of helping us take these sites and make them what they should be now.
But that's the beauty of New York, because we've got space for everybody, right? I mean, we've got space for the corporate headquarters. We've got space for the startup companies. I mean, what a great position for the city to be in.
But there's a lot of companies that want new development. So 15 million square feet in the pipeline to 2020, almost 9's committed. So it's saying that there is a need for new building stock.
So here's a question. At one time, there was the discussion about, 125th Street, where Forest City Ratner did build some office buildings over there. Vornado was going to build, on 125th and Park Avenue. Do you see any the office market moving to maybe Harlem?
I don't.
I mean,
see
you have
it
the
yet.
Columbia development on the west side, but that's specifically for Columbia.
I think it's going to be a very targeted tenant that for some reason wants to be up there or has a need to be up there.
What about the biomedical? I mean, especially now with Cornell Technion going up in Roosevelt Island. I think there are going to be great opportunities for the properties right now on 1st and 2nd Avenue. Besides the medical row that haven't been developed. I think people are going to look there, and I think Long Island City is going also, and Astoria is going to be the beneficiary of the Cornell and Technion.
We've spent some time on it, and we've had some meetings with some of the tenants. It's a huge amount of money you basically have to put in.
But how deep's the market in terms of the tenancy?
It's hard to know. And the other thing is if you think about how it evolved in Boston, it's evolved to a place where it's so big. We're afraid that if I do it in my building, but my neighbors don't do it in their building, that ultimately I lose it. And that's
but if and I think Arthur was involved with it. When Alexandria came in and they built their first space, they didn't know what was going to go on. It's completely rented.
Right.
Second building is completely rented, and there's a demand even for a third building. So the market is vibrant, and I think in conclusion, the office market, maybe there's been a little more concessions, maybe there's a little thing. But New York City is vibrant. I don't have my apple here, but the shiny apple is positive, especially as I celebrate my 900th show today.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank Dan, Eric, Brian, and Arthur, and I'll see you next week.